Rosh from Energy Matters. Welcome to our podcast, Road to Zero, where we dive headfirst into all things renewable. Join us as we chat with industry experts, tech specialists, and some of your favorite TV and radio personalities asking the renewable energy questions that you want answers to. Our goal, a zero carbon future. In today's episode, I am thrilled to be joined by Patrick Pragasam, National Training Partner, Program Manager for Fronius Australia. Pat, that is one hell of a title that you have.
Yeah, it's a bit long and convoluted, I think, but thanks Rosh. Good to be here.
Mate, thank you so much for joining me. Look, I'm so thrilled to have you on, Pat. First and foremost, I don't think you and I have ever had a proper chat, so this is obviously a great opportunity to do that. And secondly, Fronius are one of my favorite brands of all time. They have a strong history with Energy Matters from the very beginning of Energy Matters back in 2005. And, there's a really strong relationship between us and Fronius. So we started off when we were a distributor and a retailer. We're obviously not either of those things today. So for me, Fronius has a special place in my heart. And I'm really excited to find out more about Fronius today.
Fantastic.
Pat, before we delve into Fronius, for anyone watching or listening, everyone likes to kind of know the people in front of the brands. In this case, it's yourself. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, pre-Fronius, and what led you to Fronius?
Yeah. Okay. So where do I start? So before Fronius, which was 2020, I joined in the middle of COVID, actually. So it was quite a challenging time. The office was already down to, reduced capacity with people coming in and whatnot. And I was going into like an account management role, what they call the state managers nowadays. So it was a sales role. And as you can imagine, doing a sales role, very much virtually and trying to form relationships that way was quite difficult. And on top of that, I was fresh to solar. So I used to be an environmental scientist. I worked as an environmental consultant for many years, also worked for a little bit as an environmental advisor in-house for a contractor. I just essentially wanted a change, So I quit my job, quit the industry, went traveling. I was actually on the Caribbean coast when the pandemic hit. I had no idea what was happening. I came back, basically got evacuated out of there, which is a whole other story in itself. Yeah. And I'd always wanted to move down to Melbourne. Solar was one of the options on the cards. It became the front runner pretty quickly. And then the job at Fronius came up and I decided to have a crack at it and had a chat to them, and it all worked out and everything essentially just got moved forward. So I moved down to Melbourne sooner than I expected. And suddenly I was working in solar, and it's been quite a journey. So I started out, in account management. I kept on doing that. I still do a little bit of account management as well. So I look after New Zealand currently. But my main focus nowadays is training, predominantly external training, and cataloging training resources and creating and maintaining training resources. And so that's basically my main focus. And I also manage our partner program as well. So that's hence the long title.
That's incredible. So when you just say training, you're kind of training the installers, the retailers, even the distributors about your products?
Yep, exactly right. So main focus will be installers, but then also our sales partners, distributors, so the BDMs there. Then also we're doing some content focused at end customers. So essentially to help them and also take, or reduce the amount of time that our installers, spend with them trying to help them out. So that's the purpose there. And then I also do a little bit of internal training as well for our team. So if we're, for example, our up and coming product, the Reserva battery, I did a presentation for our team on, the points that they need to know about that product, stuff like that.
That's amazing. I'm glad you mentioned actually the Reserva battery, because I want to know more about that particular piece of technology because I've been waiting. Right, you've got to imagine, Pat. I've been in this industry now since in solar since 2009, and as I said, we've got a rich history working with Fronius, and you've had some incredible technology come out over the years. But there's been this gap, this pause, where we haven't really, we've seen obviously your your EV charger, which is incredible, and obviously the Gen 24 inverter is amazing. It kind of was one of those pioneers in terms of whole home backup and blackout protection, and just an amazing piece of technology. So the one thing we've been waiting for a very long time is battery storage. Great timing, obviously, with with the Cheaper Home Batteries program being released, and really for the first time, every homeowner, business owner has the opportunity of actually achieving net zero and knocking out their entire bill by having battery storage to complement the solar system on the roof. So it's a really, really exciting time, and I want to hear more about the Reserva. Before I do, I know for those very few people listening or watching who don't know a great deal about Fronius, can you give us a little bit of backstory about Fronius? I mean, how long you guys been around? A bit of history.
Yeah, sure. So essentially, the story starts in 1945. Our founder, Gunther Fronius, essentially sees that car batteries are being thrown away essentially after they reach the end of life. So he decides this isn't a good thing. It's it's a waste essentially, and these batteries can be recovered. So he invents a battery charger, and that's essentially the birth of Fronius, and also our what we now call the perfect charging business unit. And we still do make battery chargers. They're just not for cars. It's more for logistics, like forklifts and things like that. So that's how it starts. The business, goes really well. And then essentially in 1950, we opened the welding unit. And the reins get handed over to Gunther Fronius's son and daughter. And they essentially really globalized Fronius from that point, and grew from a small team to several thousand, right? And then 1992 as well, when we opened up the solar business unit, and that's when we started getting into inverters, right? That's when it even became even bigger, right? So now it's the granddaughter of Gunther Fronius, who is our current CEO and the head of the ship. So still a family-owned business, still a privately owned business. And we're running these three business units. So the charging unit, as I mentioned, the welding unit, and then the solar energy unit. And all of them focus around power conversion from AC to DC or vice versa. So we have a lot of expertise in that area, and it's over 80 years now, developing and innovating with products. And then Fronius Australia came into the fold in 2010. So 2011 is when we had the official opening, and we started off with the IG series, which many of the audience would know. And then the snap inverters came in, and that's really what made us explode in Australia and around the world. The snap-in concept, and being able to have all your cable connections left there on the walls, so really easy to service as well. And so that's essentially what took us forward from there.
It's amazing. And I think one thing that still really surprises me, and probably those in the industry today, is the fact that you've still managed to maintain, after all these years, your main manufacturing footprint being based out of Austria. Like the fact you've actually, stayed European as a brand, and then really, focusing on the fact that, look, this is our birthplace. This is where we start from. And you know what? We're aiming to, to manufacture as much of our product. In fact, is it all the product that's manufactured out of Austria?
The vast majority of it is coming out of Austria, but otherwise it's Europe. So essentially all of our manufacturing is essentially done over there, and design, support, etc. is coming out of there. Yeah.
Have you been to Austria yet?
I have actually. So I've seen the factory. It's quite an eye opener for me because I've never been in a tech factory, and seeing the little what do they call them, AGVs, automated guided vehicles running around, and you've got this whole overhead system for the logistics. So parts are getting delivered to each workstation, in a really efficient way. So all of these things are going on, and some incredible machinery in there, building parts, and then obviously all the workers as well. So it's a pretty cool facility. Satellite, it's like 45,000 square feet, and the building heights are like different levels as well. So you have sunlight coming in. They've thought about a lot of things there. Free childcare is there as well.
Oh, wow.
For the workers. Really nice canteen that uses local organic produce as much as possible, and it's all subsidized for the staff. So yeah, pretty good. We don't have all of that stuff here in Australia. But it was nice to visit and see what they got over there. Yeah.
I was going to say, having you describe all that makes me want to visit your digs in Australia. But yeah, knowing that it's not there, that's okay.
It's still nice. You're welcome. Please come visit.
100% will. And look, I really want to get Austrian film it for our TV show. I mean, it's I have been nagging your bosses to allow us to come out there. So hopefully we can at some point. So just think it's something that's absolutely incredible. And I know suppliers, manufacturers, distributors have actually been out. Retailers who have been out to Austria to visit, and they've said it's absolutely incredible. So super inspirational. And as you mentioned at the start of the call as well, just that rich history, going all the way back to the 40s. I mean, it kind of really just shows that, by having a really strong mindset towards, carbon reduction, towards waste reduction, identifying ways to actually help the end user and actually, to move forward and with their energy and with their, in their lives, but in a really healthy, sustainable way is just really beautiful. And it kind of also highlights how long renewable energy technology and technology helping people with their energy has been around for. Because a lot of people assume it all popped up in the 2010s or the early 2000s, and it's been going on for decades. So it's great to see that we've finally got to a place as a country, as a planet, where we've identified climate change is real and it's not fictitious, and it's not something that's been made up by politicians. And then really we're doing something about it. And the technology that's coming out of places like Austria, like Fronius, really embraces that, the ability to transition from black energy to green energy, and obviously helps people do that as well as obviously improve their lifestyle. Really, Pat, so from a Fronius perspective, I mean, you guys have ticked every single box now in terms of the ecosystem. Obviously with inverters, battery storage, EV chargers, monitoring. I mean, you name it, you've got it. I know at All Energy this year, which I want to touch on because it's super exciting. One of the biggest events of the year happening in October in Melbourne at Ken Shed, which is going to be fantastic. Are you guys going to be showcasing the new Reserva battery there?
Yeah, we will be. Yeah, so there's a lot of people that are keen to see the battery, and yeah, by the time we get to All Energy, it would have been officially launched in the country. So that's happening start of October.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if you're a customer looking at buying the battery, or an installer that's interested in installing it for a customer, please come down and check it out. We will have it on display there. Yeah.
Well, can you tell us? So what we want to know more about is. Tell me more about the Reserva battery. So obviously you've got the Reserva battery. More than likely that kind of, sort of fits in nicely with your Gen 24 and your hybrid to allow that seamless connectivity. Can you talk us through, the Fronius ecosystem as it stands?
Sure. Okay. So I'll give you a little bit of information on the battery, and then we can talk about the ecosystem because it fits into that. And essentially, its target group is essentially residential or small commercial. Okay, so essentially you can have a decent amount of storage there, but it's meant for those target groups. So it's quite a slim battery. So one of the slimmest batteries out there on the market. It's one of the comments that we keep on getting from installers. It's a modular battery, so you can start off with a small amount of storage and then add on more as you need it. high voltage, DC coupled, so it works with a hybrid inverter. You mentioned the Gen 24 series, so Gen 24 Plus, and then we'll also be compatible with the Verto Plus series, which is getting launched next year. So we will also have that on display at All Energy as well. So in terms of the storage capacity, so it goes from 2 to 5 modules, 3.15 kilowatt hours in each module. So you can have up to 9.5 kilowatt hours in a single stack for our single phase inverters, the Primo Gen 24s. On the 3-phase Asimo Gen 24s, you can go up to 15.8 kilowatt hours. And then you can have up to 4 stacks in parallel on the one inverter. So that's 38 kilowatt hours on single phase and 63.2 kilowatt hours on the 3-phase. Quite good, high charge and discharge rate. So that's obviously going to govern how quickly you can fill up the battery and then how quickly you can discharge it to your loads, right? So particularly on the 3-phase, with the Asimo Gen 24, you're going to have 11.26 kilowatts charge and discharge rate. With the Verto Plus, it's going to go above 16. So quite a lot of charge and discharge capacity. Really easy to commission. So I know that's more important for our installers, but I actually ran a training session in Sydney last week on Tuesday, and when I stepped them through the commissioning process, basically there really isn't any commissioning. You just plug it in and then select it. People are actually clapping and cheering in the room, so something that people are quite excited about. And another one is the European data security, which is becoming more of a topic within particularly the commercial sector, but there are residential users that do care about it. So all of our data stays in Europe. Okay, it's on European servers. We meet all the latest information security standards, so that ISO 27001 compliance. That's something that needs to be verified by a third party. We can't do that ourselves. We also have regular cybersecurity audits, so things like pen tests, where essentially a company will do an authorized cybersecurity attack to try and test our systems. So we do that, regularly, trying to identify, and potentially they're trying to identify any weaknesses in our cybersecurity regime. So that's going on, and then all of our coders that we've got working for us have to go through mandatory security training, cybersecurity training. So to make sure that they're essentially following best practice. So that's a big one. Essentially the message we want to give there to our end users is that your data is in very safe hands. Okay. Then we have, some battery functions there that really help with energy management and getting the most out of the system. So things like the black start functions, if you have an extended blackout overnight, in the morning when there is sunlight, will the inverter be able to charge up the battery after it's been depleted completely? And you can do that, right? We also have this battery control function. So if there's a storm coming up or planned grid maintenance where you know that you're going to be going into a blackout scenario, or you're quite certain that might happen, or worried that might happen, you can charge up your battery via the app, lock it there for 24 hours, or unless you unlock it, and that essentially keeps charging the battery in case you do go into that blackout, right? And then there's time of use features as well, where you can set charge and maximum discharge rates, specifying charging or discharging ranges for different times of the day and different days of the week, and you can set all these different schedules. So if you had like a really expensive electricity rate that you're trying to avoid, or really cheap one that you want to capitalize on, you can do all of that with the schedules, right? So things like that. And then you've got the single source manufacturer. So we've partnered with other battery manufacturers in the past and will continue to. You know, we have a very strong relationship with BYD, for example,
Yes.
which when the Gen 24 was released, it was compatible with BYD, and that's still going to continue. But there have been people that want everything, you know, under the one umbrella, and they want the one brand. And we're able to deliver that now. Everything is in-house, all the design, but also the service and support is completely in-house, you know. So so that's a little snapshot of it.
That's absolutely amazing, and the functionality sounds incredible, especially having so much control with with your app as well, and just being able to set your own schedule. I love the feature, and I love the sound of the feature in relation to when you have a planned blackout on its way, because fundamentally, even I was here during the cyclone here in the Gold Coast, Cyclone Alfred, and although we didn't know there was going to be a blackout, it was pretty obvious there was going to be. It lasted for 9 days for us, and we didn't have renewable energy technology installed at that time, so we had 9 days of fun. And as in thousands of other people, our local area and at different times all around the country with other blackouts. So I think understanding that you actually have the power within your own palms to an extent, be able to control the outcome and be able to plan in advance is just so incredible. And as expected, with you describing it, although we've got a little bit of content on our site already about the Reserva, hearing you talk about it, I can just see those hundreds of consumers I've met over the last 15, 20 years that will just be, salivating right now at the possibility of being able to install this kind of technology on their property. Because really, when you think about battery storage, fundamentally it's there to power your home when the sun isn't shining. But really that blackout protection, the ability to discharge your battery at key times and really start to understand, the sort of vernacular around, the energy rates and understanding at what time of the day you're being charged an absolute fortune if you were to buy back from the grid. Do you also see, just with the functionality that you've incorporated within this, and therefore the ability to discharge the battery, how are you going to tap into VPP? Is it something that you're going to be, obviously, like everyone else, partnering up with the likes of Amber or just energy retailers have their own VPP program? Or is there anything additional that you guys have a preference towards?
Historically, what we've done is partnered, so we have partnered with, say, Amber, for example, like you mentioned, and there's other providers that we are also working with, so I'm not sure if you thought we were going to try and do our own VPP or something like that.
Well, who knows with Fronius.
At this stage, so far as I know, it's not on the cards, but we're working with third-party providers for that.
Yeah, no, good call.
Very exciting, the whole
it's amazing.
Space,
So the end user has their choice, which is fundamentally what this whole thing is about, and a lot more visibility by the sounds of things as well as to what happens, and a little bit more control, which is amazing. Pat, obviously, Chiba Homes Battery, federal government, got re-elected. I'm not a political person by any means. I always look at, go with a party that's going to make the biggest difference to us achieving our net zero goals. And in this case, it was Labour. So good on them. They've done a fantastic job. How is the battery program going for you guys so far? Let's go through the list. Firstly, house stock. Because fundamentally, your Reserva hasn't launched as yet. It's about to come into the market. So
it's just about to launch. In terms of the program for the industry as a whole, all the feedback we're getting is that it's just going crazy out there. So people are incredibly busy, and some of them are booked out, set like many months in advance for battery installs. And there's a lot of just battery installs happening, right? So solar only has really, died off. It's solar and battery, or battery, and then there's a bit of solar only installs happening as well. From a stock perspective, we're looking pretty good. We've had a really great response on the Reserva, which is fantastic. So stock is landing essentially very soon, and then the distributors will have it from early October. And a lot of those distributors, not every single one, but a lot of them have gone through the October stock, and now they're onto November stock. So it's been a fantastic response from the market. But we think we're going to have enough stock there for everyone.
Famous last words.
Famous last words. I know that we have, had our challenges in the past with stock, but it's something that we do put a lot of focus on. But yeah, the popularity has been a bit more than we expected, but that's all good. That's a good thing. And we've, as soon as we started clearing, that's not clearing, it hasn't arrived, but as soon as all these orders started coming through, we just, our distribution manager was talking to our team over in Austria saying, well, we will need, another extra amount of stock. So we're going to bring in more. So don't worry about that.
No, fantastic. And literally the demand has been unprecedented. I mean, look, the assumption was it would be, but really when you look at it from a logical perspective, you've got, thousands of retailers around the country that have installed, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands solar power systems, since their inception. So you've got a lot of people with solar power already. And finally, there's a rebate that's come into play that heavily incentivizes, the installation of battery storage, about 30% discount, which is absolutely incredible. So it makes complete logical sense for every single user of solar power to have a battery installed, because finally you get to maximize the solar panels and power your home or your business at those times when the sun isn't shining, as well as the couple of advantages of blackout protection. So really, when we look at it outside looking in, our retailers or the partners that we, our retail partners that were all around the country have really only been tapping into their existing pipelines, like customers they've installed already with solar power over the last few years. And then, of course, you've got this wave of brand new consumers who've been waiting patiently for something to happen with batteries so they can install, as you mentioned before, not just solar panels, but panels plus batteries, or batteries on their existing solar system. So you're getting hit from every single front. Now, obviously, the reason why I make a bit of a joke of it is because I, firsthand, every single person that we know that's involved in this industry, the one thing retailers are craving for is more stock, because the demand is off the hook. And of course, we do everything we can do to disrupt it by, encouraging every Australian consumer via television shows or via our own content to get quoted and to get installed with battery technology. So there is a lot of demand. So of course, that is going to be a really positive problem for you guys to have, as it is with every other manufacturer out there. But I'm glad that you guys are onto it, because fundamentally, this is an endurance race, and we're all about, we've got 4 or 5 years of this program, at this stage, it's going to be rolling out for. But of course, there is a drop in the actual value of the rebate every financial year by about 20%. So it does encourage everyone to jump on now. And but look, I know there's going to be a lot of users out there who've been waiting patiently for you guys to release your own. Of course, the BYD battery is fantastic, and we've seen some incredible installations with loads of of the modular BYDs coupled with a Gen 24, so which look incredible and do their job very, very well. But yeah, obviously having the Fronius Reserva is going to be super exciting. Pat, what advice? I'm going to hit you up for a little bit of advice before we finish up. So first and foremost, for an end user, the consumer, be it a homeowner, looking to install a battery, why would they want to choose Fronius first and foremost beyond any other brands out there?
I would say reliability and knowing that you're going to have a brand, a product that's going to last the test of time. I mean, we've been around for, as you know, over 80 years. And there's warranties and warranties, right? So we design everything with a very long lifespan. So, say our inverters, some of them have been kicking on, close to that 20-year mark, So, and that's how we design them, with a 20-year lifespan. So, we've still got some of our oldest inverters, the Sunrise inverters, really heavy transformer-based inverters. Some of them are still kicking on, and some of the IGs out there are still kicking on. So, and we get customers that just want to swap out a part, which is something that you can do at Fronius inverters, and keep it going because they love that inverter, right? So same thing with the battery. I would say choosing Fronius means you're choosing a quality product that's going to last the test of time, because this is a very long-term investment that you're talking about, right? So, and for those of you that are going with not just the battery, also adding on the inverter at the same time, then, there's quite a bit of, I guess, cost even with the rebate that you're putting out there. And you want to make sure that you're spending those hard-earned dollars correctly, right? So I would definitely say reliability and durability. And then also making sure that you have a product that's, going to deliver all the functionality that you need, So we are always looking to improve our products, increase functionality in terms of, software, and, with different software updates, you get different functionalities. So some of the things I mentioned, like the battery control function, was something that we introduced after launching the Gen 24, for example. And that's something that we continue to do. But also having, those features that are going to make sure that you get the most out of your system and enable you to manage the energy on site in the most efficient and the smartest way possible.
Nice one. And if I am an installer, I've heard the Reserva's coming out. There's plenty of supply. I've got customers, so like, please install me with the battery. Why would I be choosing to install the Reserva over one of your competitors?
Well, one of the points, from before that I was telling the end customers, I'll tell the installer as well, right? You work with a quality product and a quality manufacturer that is going to be around to support you and your business, right until the end of the lifetime of the system, which, being around for 80 years, we can say comfortably that we would be able to do that. We plan to be around for another 80 years, at least. So choosing that quality product and a brand that is going to support you, right? The snap inverters, which we were talking about before, there's, you would have heard some installers potentially say words like bulletproof and never let me down and things like this, right? And that's essentially how we built our brand in Australia, but around the world, right? So making sure that you choose those bulletproof products that are really going to stand the test of time and essentially make your life easier, give you peace of mind, and also give your customer, the end customer, peace of mind as well. So that's one point. And then the second point I'd say is, choosing a product that's super easy to install as well. So something I didn't mention with the multiple stacks of the Reserva is that you don't need any combiner box, right? So it's really easy. You just link up each battery via communication and your DC connections one to the other, kind of like a daisy chain, let's call it. And essentially it makes the whole installation really easy. Even if you're just going for one stack, really easy, simple commissioning process, as I mentioned before, but even the installation of the cables, you've got MC4 plugs, Ethernet for communication. It's very much plug and play, very easy to configure. So those are the points I'll probably bring across.
Absolutely amazing, Pat. Thank you so much. You've done a great job explaining that as well. And really, as you said, the installation, affects both the installer and the end user, because the quicker the installation, the lower the bill. So really, from an installer's perspective, they've got, the amount of time they spend on your property will determine how much they require, need to really charge you for the overall installation. So having equipment such as this, which is really, really easy to install, to configure, to set up, means not only are they looking after you, so less time on your property, but really from their perspective as well, it's taking them a lot less time. And having a modular setup as well, with multiple stacks being allowed, means you can take advantage of the rebate, install what you need right now. Maybe I always recommend oversizing and doing more than you need, because your bill's ultimately going to go up, as is your usage over the next 5, 10, 15 years, as you buy more, toys for your home and you electrify your property as well. You better to have more than less, because you can always discharge it and sell it back into the grid. But then if you do find yourself in a situation where you want to add another stack or another couple stacks down the track, you can. And then, of course, that installer, the hard work's been done, and upgrade your system. So very exciting, Pat. Well, I am so excited for All Energy happening at the end of the month. So I can't wait to see that end of October in Melbourne. I'd encourage anyone who works in the industry to attend if you're not planning to, because not only is it an amazing event, but you get to see the Reserva up close and personal. and more than likely have a chat with Pat, and he'll be able to talk us through and walk us through it. Pat, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. You've been an absolute superstar.
Thanks, Rosh. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm also really looking forward to All Energy as well. It's, that event in the year where, a lot of people will come down for it. Not just installers and industry professionals, but also get to have a chat with some of the potential end customers or current end customers out there using Fronius or wanting to use Fronius. So yeah, please stop by. If I haven't met you before, I'm always happy for a chat, and happy to run you through the Reserva or any other products or solutions that we have on the market or have coming to the market.
Good stuff. Thanks, mate. I appreciate your time.
Thanks,
Rosh. All right, guys.
Too.
Thank you. So you heard it here first, guys. Fronius are back with the Reserva. It sounds incredible. I personally can't wait to take a closer look, and I'm certainly looking forward to All Energy. Make sure you rock up if you're an installer or retailer. If you're the end user, technically you shouldn't be going because it's a consumer. It's an industry event. And we can't wait to see everyone there, and it's going to be a great time. For anyone who is yet to install solar power, if you're an end user, home or business, and you're kind of thinking, you know what, I've got a solar system or I've got nothing, now is definitely the time. You just want to jump onto our website as quick as you can. Check out energymatters.com.au/free solar quotes and submit a request for a quote in your local area. We'll partner you up with local installers who service your area. They can let you know the latest and greatest technology that's available, including the Gen 24 inverter plus Reserva. And then you guys can get a quote to identify and understand if that's the right solution for your home and go and get it installed. It is an amazing time to, in this industry. And for the first time, the opportunity to achieve net zero is really within the palm of your hands. So by achieving net zero means you've reduced your carbon footprint, and most importantly for yourself, you've got rid of your electricity bills, which is essentially the third largest bill in your home outside of your mortgage / rent and your food. So really, I would encourage every single person who has yet to install any renewable energy technology to jump on and start getting quotes. And for those of you who've got a solar system, definitely want to get a quote for battery storage. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to catch up with you guys again next time. All the best.